45 years old, and that legacy is something that we're very proud of, and it's also something that makes it more challenging to change to fit in with modern communication.
Macy's is known for touchy-feely, emotional holiday commercials that work great on people. But this one really does the trick. JWP brings back an editorial about a little girl and her quest to find out the truth about Santa, and ends up producing an animated holiday special based on the famous Yes, Virginia, There is a Santa Claus.
We needed to come up with a Christmas message that was appropriate for a time when people weren't shopping. So we needed to craft a message that was at the same time inspirational, that also rekindled the holiday spirit at a time when there really wasn't that much, and something that didn't feel overly crass or commercial, like we're saying, like, you know, we're slashing prices, come on in. And that's when we came up with this idea of Believe. And this campaign was literally, we just asked America to believe in Santa Claus again, to believe in something as ridiculous as Santa Claus. And that believing in Santa means that you believe in faith and wonder and imagination and all the things that make Christmas great. We actually asked people to write a letter to Santa Claus to prove that they believed, and we collected more than 1 million letters. The campaign was a great success, and Macy's actually asked, now how are we going to top it next year? The story of this little girl who went on a quest to find the truth about Santa Claus, it's such a great story. Why don't we turn that into a holiday special?
It was really important to make it classic and not try to do some of the, you know, things that people do nowadays. They try too hard to appeal to the cool nation kids or this or that. We went back to classic storytelling.
Stories that people cherish from their childhood.
She needed to find out the truth. She was struggling with it. We felt her passion throughout the show.
When you're a department store, there's no more important season than Christmas. Everything comes down to Christmas. So the advertising that you do during that season makes or breaks the department store for the year. And Macy's, as a department store, is also indelibly linked to Christmas. In America, there's a very, very famous expression, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. That expression comes from an editorial that was written in 1897 by a man named Francis Church, who received a letter in the mail one day from this little girl that said, dear editor, my friends say there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? So he saw this letter, and he wrote in response what ended up being the most famous newspaper editorial in history. And he wrote, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and devotion exist. Fast forward 100 years, that phrase is incredibly famous, and that editorial in just a few paragraphs sums up everything we were trying to say with Believe. When we created the campaign, we actually used that editorial. From that seed, we realized that there was so much more that we can do than just traditional advertising. Producing the show was a joy. We had to restructure the agency a little bit and restructure the way we worked with our client in order to make a show. Instead of hundreds of decisions to be made, there are thousands. The most stressful moment was probably midway through the project, where Macy's had greenlit the production, but we still didn't know which network it was going to be on, or if we were going to have a network. We pitched the networks and waited for word, and then when we finally got it, we were far less stressed.
We wanted to do a premiere. We actually found the house that Virginia grew up in is now a school. So we held the premiere for the show in the house that she grew up in.
It's done pretty well on the award shows. But what I think is even more powerful is the fact that it's been accepted by film festivals.
I think 2 or 3 years ago there wouldn't have been the places for it to be recognized in advertising festivals. Advertising is an interruption, that it has to be entertaining in order to break through and to get consumers to engage with it.
So many more people involved. There are so many more people who are involved in the decision making. And if you don't listen, and if you don't stay open to new ideas coming from unexpected places, you're shutting down a lot of brilliant ideas. This show, actually, when we pitched it to Macy's, we pitched it as a 3-minute web film. And the client said, wouldn't it be great if it were a half-hour animated show? And we were like, wow, that's never going to... Actually, you know what? That would be pretty good.
One of the reasons that, we went with the Edlin Group and hired the director, Pete Circuit, was because he had this vision for the show visually that was sort of old world. Even though it was CG and it was computer generated, it had a texture to it and a feel to it. He wanted the world to feel a little dusty and a little bit 1897, and he wanted to create a lot of texture in it. And then the trick was we hired a production company in Stars, which is based in Toronto, which was phenomenally adept at moving quickly and creating these textures and these characters and doing the animation and the lighting. And we got lucky because they just had a window where a project had been put on hold and we were able to get in and work with them on it.
One of the truly amazing things about the show is how much we had to learn and how short of a time we had to learn it. We had to learn how to write a screenplay. We had to learn how to, the whole process of computer animation, which is completely different from live action. For music, we brought in Nicholas Hooper. So Nicholas Hooper was the composer for the last 2 Harry Potter films. It's one of those things that you just trust your instincts. First, you learn how to do it. You stay humble, but then you trust your instincts for what your vision of what the show is supposed to be. A lot of people consider branded entertainment just as product placement. They're drinking a Diet Coke at one point. This suddenly becomes branded entertainment. And that's not what we believe it is. We believe that branded entertainment is when the story grows organically out of what your campaign message is or what your brand's message is. So for Macy's, they were trying to tell America that they should believe in the spirit of Christmas and they should believe in Santa Claus. It comes from your message, your story being told in a powerful and beautiful way, which is what I think separates Yes Virginia from a lot of what people consider to be branded entertainment.
Brands want to tell stories. When you create the piece of entertainment from scratch and you parallel the stories, you don't have to do as much product placement. You don't have to scream with logos and force products in where they don't fit naturally. You know, we made sure that when she gets in the box, it's a red box. There's little stars throughout the show. You were able to draw enough parallels that people wouldn't miss the brand message in the show.
This was designed and built to run for decades. We think that it can just continue to get more and more viewers as the years roll on. It really is the birth of an entertainment franchise.
For a show that was new to the public, the ratings were phenomenal.
4 million households tune in, but press around the show generated something like on the order of 3.5 billion impressions, which is impressive by any nature. I think clients are finally understanding that they have to break into these areas in order to be noticed, that doing the traditional and the expected is not going to work.